If events went differently, and Tarzan became Wolverine in Disney's Tarzan. Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, to another thrilling what-if scenario. Today we're merging the wild jungle world of Disney's Tarzan with the dark and gritty origins of Wolverine. Imagine a universe where the Weapon X program discovers Tarzan and transforms him into a super-powered mutant with adamantium claws. How would Tarzan, now possessing Wolverine's abilities, adapt to his new powers and responsibilities that come with them? Would he continue to protect the jungle and his family? Or would the influence of his new abilities lead him down a darker path? Let's explore a world where Tarzan becomes Wolverine, and see how this alternate timeline reshapes his destiny and the lives of those around him. But before we dive into this unique adventure, if you enjoy exploring these possibilities of the multiverse, consider supporting my work on Patreon and Substack. Your support allows me to create more content, dive deeper into these what-if scenarios, and push the boundaries of our imagination. So again, thank you for being a part of this journey, and let's uncover the wild twists and turns of this fascinating what-if together. In the lush, vibrant jungles of Africa, Tarzan, the king of the jungle, swings gracefully from vine to vine, his yells echoing across the treetops. The gorillas, his family, are shown in various scenes that highlight their daily lives, playing, foraging, and resting under the canopy. Tarzan and his gorilla mother, Kala, share a tender moment, reinforcing his deep connection to the jungle and its inhabitants. As the sun sets, casting golden hues over the jungle, the peace is shattered by the arrival of a covert operation. Helicopters buzz overhead, frightening the wildlife, as heavily armed men descend on zip lines. They're led by Clayton, now a rogue operative, associated with the clandestine Weapon X program. His mission? To capture specimens for genetic experimentation, and he has set his sights on Tarzan. Clayton and his team launch a ruthless assault on the gorillas by slaughtering all of them. Tarzan rushes to defend his family, displaying extraordinary agility and strength. However, the intruders are well prepared, using tranquilizer darts and nets. The gorillas are outmatched by the technology and firepower. Amidst the chaos, Kayla is gravely injured, and Tarzan is captured. His last glimpse is of his home being torn apart, the screams of his family echoing in his ears as he loses consciousness. Tarzan awakens in a stark metallic room, his body aching and restrained on a surgical table. The cold clinical environment of the Weapon X facility is a stark contrast to the vibrant jungle. Scientists and military personnel observe him behind glass panels. A gruff, authoritative scientist, Dr. Rice, explains that Tarzan has been chosen for an experiment due to his unique physiology and adaptability, traits that make him an ideal candidate for the Adamantium integration. The procedure begins. Dr. Rice and his team surgically implant adamantium onto Tarzan's skeleton, including retractable claws. The process is brutal and invasive, pushing Tarzan to the brink of his physical and mental limits. As the metal fuses with his bones, Tarzan experiences flashbacks of his life in the jungle, the freedom and the bonds he shared with his family, contrasting sharply with his current reality. As the procedure ends, Tarzan's new abilities begin to manifest. He discovers his enhanced strength, agility, and the painful emergence of claws from his knuckles. Confused and enraged, he tests the limits of his restraints, each movement echoing with the metallic clink of adamantium. While recovering from the procedure, Tarzan overhears guards discussing the facility's layout and the schedule. His sharp senses pick up every detail, formulating a plan to escape. He feigns weakness to lower their guard, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Late at night, Tarzan makes his move. Using his newfound strength and agility, he breaks free from his restraints. He stealthily navigates through the facility, taking out guards silently and using his jungle-honed instincts. His escape is a thrilling sequence of close calls and intense action, showcasing his adaptation of his jungle skills to this new environment. As Tarzan breaks through the final barrier into the cold night air, freedom just within reach, he is confronted by Clayton, who has been anticipating this moment. Clayton, armed and dangerous, aims a specialized weapon at Tarzan, designed to subdue him despite his enhancements. The tension peaks as Clayton confidently approaches the restrained Tarzan, weapon aimed and ready. However, Tarzan, utilizing his enhanced reflexes and strength, dodges at the last second, causing Clayton to miss. A brutal hand-to-hand combat ensues, showcasing Tarzan's raw power and newly acquired combat skills, juxtaposed with his still persistent human intelligence and jungle cunning. In the chaos, Tarzan manages to disarm Clayton and flees into the surrounding woods, blending into the darkness. Clayton, enraged but determined, orders a full pursuit. As Tarzan races through the forest, he uses both his innate jungle survival skills and his new abilities to evade capture. This sequence highlights his struggle to integrate his two worlds, his animal instincts and the cold, brutal training implanted by Weapon X. His path, however, is fraught with obstacles, armed patrols, technological traps, and natural hazards, each challenge pushing him to adapt and overcome. Meanwhile, Jane and her father, Professor Archimedes Q. Porter, are nearby, conducting research on the local flora and fauna. They encounter remnants of the skirmish between Tarzan and the Weapon X operatives. Intrigued and concerned, they follow the trail, which leads them to the outskirts of the Weapon X facility. Hidden in the bushes, they witness Tarzan's extraordinary abilities and his desperate flight for freedom. As Tarzan evades another capture attempt, he stumbles upon Jane and Professor Porter. The reunion is tense and cautious. Tarzan is wary of any human connections, his trust shattered by his recent experiences. Jane, who has heard stories of the wild man and is fluent in several indigenous languages, attempts to communicate with him. Slowly, through a mixture of broken English and sign language, a bond forms as Tarzan senses their genuine concern and willingness to help. Jane and Professor Porter, both horrified by the unethical experiments conducted by Weapon X, decide to help Tarzan. They offer him sanctuary in their nearby camp. There, Tarzan grapples with his dual nature, the serene environment of the camp contrasting sharply with his violent, engineered side. Jane and Professor Porter provide medical care and aid in his recovery, while also learning about his origins and the extent of his modifications. One evening, as they sit around the campfire, Jane and her father reveal their findings from years of research, which include detailed accounts of other victims of similar experiments. Tarzan listens, his anger and sorrow mounting as he realizes the extent of the atrocities committed by Weapon X. The stories of other beings twisted and broken by human ambition resonate deeply with him, fueling his resolve. Tarzan, now more determined, decides not just to escape, but to put an end to Weapon X's operations. With the help of Jane and her father, he plans a daring return to the facility. The act ends with Tarzan, Jane, and Professor Porter equipped and ready, standing on the edge of the forest, looking towards the facility that once held him captive. They are not just a group of escapees now, but a team on a mission to bring down a giant, Under the cover of darkness, Tarzan, Jane, and Professor Porter approach the heavily guarded perimeter of the Weapon X facility. Utilizing the skills he honed both in the jungle and during his escape, Tarzan silently neutralizes the guards, allowing the group to enter. Inside, they navigate through the labyrinth of high-tech security using a combination of Tarzan's brute strength, Jane's technical knowledge, and the professor's guidance. As they delve deeper into the facility, they uncover the full extent of Weapon X's experiments. They find other creatures and humans subjected to similar, or even more horrifying transformations. Tarzan is struck by a profound sense of anger and empathy, seeing the pain and confusion in the eyes of these victims. The group frees as many as they can, causing chaos within the facility as alarms blare. Their actions do not go unnoticed. Clayton, now fully aware of the intrusion and furious at the potential unraveling of his life's work, confronts the group in the main experimental chamber. He is armed with advanced weaponry specifically designed to counteract Tarzan's abilities. The ensuing battle is fierce and showcases Tarzan's struggle between his savage instincts and his learned humanity. As the battle reaches its peak, Clayton manages to corner Tarzan and aims a deadly weapon at him. In a moment of desperation, Jane steps in front of Tarzan, pleading with Clayton to stop the madness. Clayton, consumed by his obsession to control and dominate, hesitates, a fatal mistake. Tarzan uses the opportunity to disarm Clayton, but in the struggle the weapon discharges, critically injuring Clayton instead of the intended targets. With Clayton defeated and the facility in disarray, Tarzan and the group ensure the release of all captives and initiate the destruction of the research data to prevent further abuses. As the facility burns, Tarzan watches the flames consume the remnants of a project that turned him into a monster. As dawn breaks, the jungle awakens with the harmonious sounds of life that had always been Tarzan's solace. Yet, on this morning, his heart bears a weight that the peaceful symphony cannot lighten. Jane and Professor Porter stand beside him at the edge of a secluded clearing, the air thick with a mix of mist and the remnants of last night's rain. Tarzan looks at Jane, his eyes reflecting a turmoil that words can barely convey. He had fought fiercely, not just against enemies, but against the beast within, fueled by the dark legacy of Weapon X. He had hoped to reclaim the peace of his past, but the haunting memories of violence and the fear of what he might still become overshadow this new dawn. Jane, he begins, his voice a low, pained whisper. I've seen what I am capable of, what they made me into. I can't escape it no matter how far I run. His gaze shifts to the vibrant canopy, then back to the ground, littered with fallen leaves and the trails of nocturnal creatures. Jane reaches out, her hand trembling as it finds his. Tarzan, you saved us. You saved so many. Don't let those horrors define what you can still be. Tarzan smiles weakly, appreciating her words but feeling the weight of reality pressing down on him. I have fought with all I am to protect this place, to protect you, he continues. But as long as I exist, those who seek to wield what I've become will never stop coming. My existence endangers everything I love. Professor Porter, a silent observer, until now steps forward. My boy, there is always another way. We can fight them together, as a family. Tarzan shakes his head slowly, a resolute gleam in his eyes. This is my fight and mine alone. I must end it in the only way I know they can never use me again. Without waiting for a response, Tarzan turns and walks deeper into the jungle. Jane and the professor follow, their protests swallowed by the sounds of the wilderness. They reach a cliff overlooking a vast expanse of the jungle, the sun casting its first light over the horizon, bathing everything in a golden hue. Here Tarzan stops, He turns to face them, his expression a mixture of peace and finality. "Remember me as I was, not as the weapon I became," he implores, with a final lingering look at Jane, who is now openly weeping, and a nod to Professor Porter. Tarzan steps back. As he edges towards the precipice, his voice carries softly back to them. "Protect this jungle. Keep it safe from those who do not understand its spirit." With those last words, Tarzan turns and allows himself to fall backward, disappearing into the morning mist that rises from the valley below. Jane rushes to the cliff's edge, her cries of despair mingling with the call of the jungle birds. Professor Porter pulls her back gently, his own eyes moist, as they watch the sun rise over the land Tarzan had loved and protected. In this final act of sacrifice, Tarzan had chosen to be remembered, not for the power he wielded, but for the peace he sought to ensure. The jungle remains vibrant and alive, a lasting testament to the spirit of the man who was both its child and its protector. And that is going to be it for this dark, alternate, twisted scenario of Disney's Tarzan. Now, I do want to say, I think we weren't really light on the darkness, I don't think, here. It was definitely something that had to happen. I think Tarzan at the end, like falling off the cliff from everything that he's done, he couldn't really control the powers of, the Wolverine. I think Tarzan is such a character that, the stuff that he does, the stuff that he's capable of doing, he would feel scared of his own self. And so I felt like, writing Tarzan off this way, where he ends up, sacrificing himself at the end because he feels that he might not be able to control his powers in the jungle. So again, it's a very interesting what if crossover scenario that I don't think anybody would have thought me doing, but again, we're going to be doing a lot more Disney what ifs, DreamWorks, Pixar, all franchises in between. So if you have something that you would like to see happen that's not really far-fetched, it could be far-fetched. I mean, some of these scenarios definitely are, but we could make it happen. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and if you guys do enjoy these videos, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on, so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and have a wonderful day. Peace out.